Now, more keyframe interpolation is going to be available if we use the graph editor. So I'll just show you just a beginning of how that works. So this will be timing 02. So let's create a new composition, and you can use the icon or you can use the composition pull down, whichever you feel most comfortable with. This is going to be the same length, and we're going to call this one last name, first initial, and timing 02. Once again, 6 seconds. Everything else is the same. I'm going to Command S to make sure that it's saved, and then I'm going to drag the simplest thing down again. I'm going to press LL so I can see the waveform, and I'm going to line it up with the 15 frames mark. 15 frames is approximately 1/2 second. Now I wanted to add separate layers. This time we're not going to use the text animator, we're just going to basically use a transform of position, and we're going to use separate layers. So we're going to make sure we've got the same font, Helvetica bold, white, and 60 pixels, and we're going to double click on the text tool. We're going to type ONE. Then we're going to click on the gray down in the timeline to deselect the layer, and then we will double click the text tool again and type TWO. Click on the gray to deselect, THREE. Four and 5. Okay, I'm going to select all of the layers at one time, and I'm going to use Align. So go to the Align palette, and we want to align layers to Composition. So Align layers to Composition, and we're going to align them all to the top. They're all on top of each other though. So now we have to take each of them, and I'm going to use Shift and the arrow keys, and I'm going to move each layer so that it's separated from the other ones, and try to get them kind of equally spaced. And to make it easier so that they are truly equally spaced, select all of the text layers, change Align Layers to Selection, and then use Distribute Layers and distribute the left side. And now they're nice and equally spaced. And then save that, Command S. So we've got the simplest thing down in the timeline, and we're going to select all of the text layers, press P. With all of your text layers selected, take the CTI back to the 0 point. So we're on 0. And now we're going to click on the keyframing for position. Now move your CTI up until you have lined it up with that first peak in the sound wave. And now I'm going to go to Align Layers and change it back to Composition. And now I'm going to have it drop. So I'm going to have it align to the bottom. So now they're all on the bottom at the same time. Click in the gray at the bottom to deselect, and Command S to save. So here they are all landed, and here they are all up. Well, we want to have them landing, each one at the appropriate peak in the waveform. So I'm going to take the keyframes for position for 2. I'm going to select them all. You can click on the word position. And then I'm going to move my CTI up until it lines up with that second peak. and I'm going to drag these keyframes up so they line up with that peak. I'm going to Command S. Now I'm going to select 3. I'm going to select the position keyframes for 3. I'm going to move the CTI up until it lines up with the 3rd peak in the waveform. And now I'm going to drag these keyframes up so they line up with that waveform bump. And just do that for each of them. Select the appropriate word, select the position keyframes, drag them up to line up with the CTI. And they will snap to the CTI. And if you want them to snap from far away, you can hold down Shift. But just make sure that they do snap to the CTI. Now I'm going to select 5, the position. I'm going to drag this up. I will hold down Shift, and it just immediately goes clump and lands on it. Okay, so now I'm going to Command S, and I'm going to press the spacebar. And that's nice. That's nice. So let's stop that. So now I'm going to select the first keyframe in each layer, and I'm going to use Keyframe Assistant to have it easy ease out. So select the keyframe, Keyframe Assistant, easy ease out. Do that for each layer. Command S. Let's press the spacebar and see what that did. Now that looks a little better because now they start out slowly and they gather speed as they move. So you can see there's the effect of gravity on them. Okay, now what we want to do is edit with the graph editor. The graph editor has an icon right up here. It's at the top of the timeline, and it's located right at the right side of the layer list and at the left of the timeline. So open the graph editor by clicking on that graph icon in the timeline and select the layer 2. Now, in order to be able to see the difference, I'm going to have you duplicate layer 2. So while layer 2 is selected, press Command-D and it duplicates. The original layer is going to be underneath. So this one's the second layer. The original layer is this one. It's just called 2. I want you to go up to the character palette, click on the fill color, and change the color to a bright red. So you can't see it because it's behind the other one right now. So as far as you know, it's not even there. But we know it's there really. So with the red 2 selected, so this is the original 2, this is the red 2, and let's go ahead and get just the keyframe showing. So with the original 2 that is now red selected, click on the word position. And this is the speed graph. So we want to have edit speed graph selected. You may find that it has the value graph, and we can't change the speed with the value graph. So we want to change the display by going down to this icon. It's an icon that looks like a list, and it's the second one from the left, so it's next to the eyeball. You click on it, and it says choose graph. Choose graph type and options, and you want to choose the speed graph. So with the speed graph selected, you want to go to the second keyframe, which is this dot right here, and click on it. So you see that each of them has, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see that that there's a difference. Each of them has a Bezier curve handle. So the first curve handle has this slight Bezier curve handle sticking out. The second one is a much shorter one. Select this icon, the second one. Drag the handle further away to make it a little longer. Now press the spacebar to preview. So you see that the red one now is showing, and it's going faster than the white one when it gets down near the bottom. So the change is more quick at this point, and it's going to land harder. Command S to make sure that's saved. You can go back to the regular display by clicking on the Graph Editor button again, and you can see it's changed this icon into a different shape. So Command S to save that.